Apologies for the delays. I still am working on fixing my coffee, and I gotta refill my water. Well, I had to refill my coffee. I already had a cup of coffee, but gotta have a cup of coffee for this to go well. For anything to go well, in fact, with me, gotta have the coffee. It's gotta be it. I'll be right back, y'all. Starting soon. I suppose I could update this to 11:35 or something, but meh. Okay, let's begin, shall we? We've got the coffee. Audio interface is on. And Ableton is open. You should be able to hear that. But this is a blank set. Let's open up the trap project we have been developing over time here. The sound trap beat. And I might take sound trap out of the name because I really want to just continue this one in Ableton, and we may do another stream where we compare the two versions, right? We're gonna focus on making a drop, and I want to do it fully in Ableton now because I want to show a more advanced sort of process here in sound design, because I'd of course like to use I'd like to use the plugins, and I would like to use the samples that I've collected over the years to put something interesting together. And of course, if you'd like to follow along, I will describe along the way. Let me, of course, I'm going to open up Soundtrap and also make sure my computer is not downloading any updates, because it appears that I'm dropping frames. So, what are you doing, computer? Are you... Okay, I don't have Steam open or anything. Okay. Alright, well, we'll just have to deal with that then. I hope the lag isn't too bad on the video afterwards. But yeah, I'm going to open up Soundtrap, and I'm basically going to, if I do something that can be done in Soundtrap, in a way, I will switch to it and then demonstrate a little way to do it in Soundtrap as well as do in Ableton. So I may go on tangents here and there to show some ways that you could start doing similar things that I'm doing in Ableton and Soundtrap, and kind of sort of follow along. But a lot of it's going to be like based in the synth today, because we're basically starting with a beat. We have a chord progression, and we had a sound design that we created last stream. So if we open this up here, do not need to save those. We will get to the previous project. Okay, so also opening up Soundtrap here in the background. You cannot see what I'm doing, you just see the camera, of course. because I am, logging in and all that. No need to see that. I could stop showing the list of people as well. Might be smart. Might be smart. Okay. So I'm going to load up I believe it was the first template project that we did. Yes. I believe so. Alrighty. Let's play this back. Nope, that was the other one. It was actually supposed to be this project here. That's the one. So here we are with that same project that we are working on right now in Ableton. Well, still loading in Ableton in Soundtrap, ready to do a couple comparisons if need be. But for now, we are going to, of course, close that down for now because we don't need that. And we're going to wait for the rainbow circle of death to finish spinning and give us a nice loaded project. There's a lot going on, so there's a lot to load, so give it some time. Also, Soundtrap is open, so that's taking up some processing power. I may consider, since I have a streaming computer that takes it from, I'm using a Mac, by the way, so that's why I've been naming off my key shortcuts this whole time with Mac keys like Command or Apple and Option rather than Alt. So yeah, I'm saying hold Option. That might have been confusing to some of you. Or on Windows, I will make sure that I specify when I'm saying a key shortcut to say Option or to say Alt for Windows, Option for Mac. Control, Shift, and all that. So still the same. So I didn't expect this process to take this long, so it's fine. It's fine. We're still an empty lobby here, so it's no one wasting no one's time yet except my own. Perhaps I could unload Soundtrap. Yes, so I am going to actually put this here, and we're going to wait for it to load, and yeah. I'm going to actually add some text in. Be right back, and I'll add some text as to why. I probably have to update the graphic too. Add a new source instead. Okay. Next would be okay. Probably make this a bit more visible as well. Yeah, we'll make this look all fancy. What other... Just real quick, I'm going to switch to this. Don't mind me. I just need to see what this font is. Don't mind me. This isn't actually... We're not actually leaving. Don't go. Okay, we are using Advent Pro. The font Advent Pro. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch this to professional streamer right here. Dang, it's still loading. So, yeah. I don't know what that was all about. Gothic? Oh my gosh. What was the font? More than... Okay, Advent. That's right. Properties. Advent. Where even... Oh, it's one of the Google fonts. That's why I couldn't find it. Advent Pro. Thin. Definitely not thin. Let's make it bold. Yeah. Fancy. Let's also give it a nice little border there, so it's a little bit more visible against the... We'll of course give it a black text. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty visible. Yeah. So if anyone comes in, they can see that Ableton is taking an absolute eon to load this project. I don't know why. I think I'm going to have to do something about Soundtrap being open. Perhaps that's just interfering way too much, and I'm gonna quit it for now. I might have to even restart Ableton. Loading live set. Is it, or is it frozen? Interesting. Okay, well, I'm gonna give it a little force quit there, and yeah, hopefully that'll work. I didn't make any changes to the project, so it's fine that it didn't load. It's just gonna take a little bit longer to get started here. Of course, you know, you always run into unexpected issues at the worst possible times. So, yeah, you know, it waits till I'm ready to stream for it to not decide to work. I suppose we could talk about what I am making today. I'm going to make a drop for our trap song, and that drop is going to be, well, the main feature of that song, and we're going to experiment with different styles of drops. We're going to basically create a little library of sounds for ourselves, as we have been doing it already, and we will use those libraries of sound to create different bassline patterns, and perhaps use some different instruments here and there, like brass horn stabs, because we're making trap, so we want to think of other trap songs that you know, and think of sounds that you would particularly hear. You'd hear a sub bass, like an 808 kind of like low booms, or you would hear a some trap songs, they call them like hybrid trap now, where they'll have bass sounds, just kind of standard dubstep bass sounds, like growls and wubs and neuro bass kind of scattered throughout. I'm thinking of making something like that, but of course, not all of it has to be like that. A lot of trap songs are very, very, very uplifting, and they use lots of pads and also the drums are very tight. We're gonna make sure the drums are tight with the with this. But let's first of all, if we load you, we'll see if we can even get into the project first of all. Let's see. Something's causing it to hang. Oh, we did it. We're in. We're in, guys. We're in. Okay, we can do things. All right. So, what were we doing last? We were creating a kit of bass sounds, several kits of bass sounds for us to use in our drops. And we had created a sort of mock-up sound here. If I play. Alright, well, I've got to make sure that I solo certain things. Some of these things are off here. Makes sense. Also, if we play this clip here, So what we've done is we have basically we created a rhythm up here with this clean sub sound. We had printed it out onto this resampling track here to get several slices of bass, and then what we did is we moved it into this transient kit here on channel 19. So I could perhaps make things a little bit more clear by coloring the tracks and making things a little bit more compact here. So I'll close down the sidechain source for now. We're not using that right now, but we should very shortly. We have our pure sub. I'm just going to rename this guy sub, just to keep it simple. Bass slide, I'm going to delete. We're not really going to use that. Actually, well, I'll keep it in, because it has... perhaps might not be useful. Okay, we'll get rid of those. That was something I put in the template set because that's kind of a generally useful sound, but I'm not gonna have it on this one. Change my mind. So we created this transient kit. We have, and then we took the MIDI clip that we used, and we changed the notes on that clip to be continuous notes that sustained. So if you look here, it's just a long sustaining F note. The other ones on the clip above, it was an F note that was played in different lengths to get different cutoffs or different variations, lengths of the bass sound. In this one, I wanted to create a continuous note because this is a more transient focused bass where the automation is sort of one time through. So it's like most of them are a shape that, okay, I need to draw this in the opposite direction. A shape, the LFO is shaped like this. It goes rapid, or it's shaped like that. I could show you within the patch actually. That's probably easier. I could just kind of, instead of making random hand motions in the air that probably mean nothing to a lot of you. This one, if you notice, all of the LFOs are set to envelope mode, which means they will trigger once when the note is played and they will not repeat themselves. So it acts as an envelope with an attack, decay, sustain, release, but this really only has technically as many segments as you put on there. You can put as many points as you want, but it does not have a controllable release time. So you can set it to just go once through, and that's what's being done here. So we have different kind of curves, but they all sort of go down and they control different things. But then what I did is I took the exact same patch, and this is another thing, a thing to consider when you're making, if you do decide to make bass lines yourself or try to make bass lines yourself with synthesizers, and there are many great tutorials on how to get started with these synths. I have attempted one myself, but it's better to start way from the beginning and understand the fundamentals of synthesis itself rather than try to dive straight into a program like this, because this is sort of a high end. Well, it's pretty pricey, first of all, and second of all, it's got a lot of features, and it might just overwhelm you. So you'd like to, I would recommend, if you want to start to get into sound designing something like this, then start simple. Start with some stock synthesizers or even Soundtrap's built-in synthesizer. If you load up a synth track, I closed the Soundtrap down because I didn't want it to take up the CPU. But if you load up a new synthesizer track and click on the tweak button, you can access a sort of very basic synthesizer and try moving the parameters around and see what they do to the sound. That's the way that I learned how to use this mostly. Like, I did watch a lot of YouTube tutorials, but they only get you so much. You can just watch someone else design a patch, but you can only get so much out of that. You kind of really just want to get in there and tweak things yourself and mess with knobs and just hear what they do to the sound, and also throw any of these parameters at LFOs, and yeah, we're going to do some of that here shortly. But I'm just describing what's going on, so for those that are, you know, like tuning in and watching the video from not the beginning, which would be understandable because it is a live stream. But of course, all of these videos are archived, so which is why I say video, are archived on the BVMP channel for you to watch at your earliest or latest convenience. But we took the LFOs that were set to envelope mode on our patch above. We went down here, we duplicated the patch to a different track, and we went to those LFOs and we changed them to trigger, which is the default mode where they repeat themselves. And I also went in and changed the shape of the LFO, so when I play a note, right now it's set to a bar, so over an entire bar it will go iterate through this, but the effect really comes through when I make this a bit faster. That's pretty nice, right? I'd say so. So what I'm doing is kind of just creating little variations of the shape. Messing around with it and then recording, and then I'll record a resampled snapshot of it. Take that snapshot, move it into a kit as I did before. What I'm going to do, we haven't messed with audio 2, but I've moved that into the transient kit, so I can go ahead and actually remove both of these clips, or instead I'll just move them out of the way instead of deleting them. Move them out of the way so they can go over here, and then I can go back here, and I'm ready to record again. I just gotta make sure this track is off. So when I took the automation that was on the track above, so it's the same automation curves, but the macros do different things on this track, on this clip, and I actually kind of want to tweak this a little bit more and make the macros vary it more. So let's just mess with them and see what they do, and then let's tweak it a bit so maybe they can be a little bit more of a dramatic effect. So macro 1 FM, yeah, that's pretty necessary. We have a mellow version and then a frequency modulator version. It's taking this waveform, using it to modulate the frequency of this one, but really, really fast, and you get that sort of really high pitched, like, screeching sound, depending on where you, of course, set your modulation to. So I could turn this up. It would become a lot more dramatic, but I want to kind of, I had tuned it down to a specific spot where it was nice, right about there. And then on this one, it says reverb, but it controls a filter, I believe. Yeah, it controls the mix of a flanging filter. And this, the cutoff of that flanging filter is controlled by something. Gotta flick through my LFOs. Okay, it's controlled by LFO 3, as I thought. So if we move this up, I'm gonna mess with the kind of the spot of this, where this is. That's nice. So I can bring that in and out with this reverb. I'll call it flange filter. FLG filt. Then distortion, what that does is it brings up the level of the drive here, the sine shaper. Which is kind of nice, but I'm going to try something else. And what I'm doing is I'm making a reverse LFO shape with this, so I'm bringing the drive out as the other As some other parts come up, like the filter comes up, whap, I'm bringing the distortion down for that part. I might try emphasizing it the other way, though. Let's try an X-shaper. What an X-shaper allows you to do is set the distortion curve yourself. So I'm going to iterate through it like this, and then can make an extra point as well. Well, that's quite interesting. And you can just kind of experiment with what different distortion shapes would do. Okay, maybe not that much. Maybe I remove that. That's nice. Ooh, what if I did it reverse like that? Ooh. Yeah, that's nice. And if I move the resonance up on that filter, maybe move the frequency around. Yeah. And you can look, and you can see here the distortion curve actually changing shape as we play the note, which is kind of cool. So we can mix that in and out. But it looks like we have our minimum not exactly at 0, so we can turn that back to 0. So I can take it all the way out if I want to. Give it a nice dramatic effect. Oh. What if we turn it down there? Okay, we could even make the filter move a bit with automation. Yeah, that's pretty sick. I like that. All right, let's throw in an EQ at the end, because I want to cut out some of that low end mud. We'll even automate this filter a bit, just so we can have it follow the shape of the rest of everything. We can even use this to add a peak that moves around a little bit. I'll use it to add a notch, though. So I can move the frequency around, I can lower the gain, and now I have a little notch here. Kind of hard to see, but we move it around. This is what it sounds like. Very hard to hear right now because the quality is set to make it pretty tight, pretty small range. So let's increase the range of frequencies here. Now we get something like this. Let's put it before reverb. And now let's actually automate this. But we're going to do it with a different envelope so we can get a different kind of motion going on. I can get like a dual LFO action, like dual LFOs going on. So I have LFO 3 doing one thing, LFO 4 doing another thing with some effects and filters, and we could get something cool happening. As long as they're the same rate, or they could even be different rates. And that might be interesting. Let's turn this up to an eighth note. Now you can see this this EQ curve moving at eighth notes, or moving at that rate, instead of the rate of everything else. and this is assigned to 7 things right now. We could perhaps move some of these over to LFO4. So right away. What about a peak? Don't have to go before the compressor. That kind of sounds cool. Let's try a notch again. Maybe more automation on that. No, that's quite cool. And then we could perhaps what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna automate it with the macro 4 to where if macro 4 is at all the way at the left, so kind of turned off, the gain is at 0, so that there's no LFO motion on that EQ, and it's just doing the high pass. And then when I turn the flange up, it's going to automate this parameter down so that it creates a notch. Now it's back to normal. And only when the flanger is on do we get that LFO. And so, okay, because of that, I might make something in this flanger filter move. There is this other HL wide parameter. Let's move that with LFO4. And let's try to just listen to the effect of that filter. So I'm going to turn off, for now, the EQ. We need to turn the flanger filter. Okay, I think... Oh, you know what? What is this flange doing, then? Oh, that's actually... Okay, so that's the flanger itself. And then this is being modulated with LFO4, the phase. That's not really doing much, actually. I'm going to remove that. Or maybe it was. But I should put it on LFO3 instead of 4. Because I think it's kind of moving it across. So that's fine. And then feed, I'll do, actually, let's modulate depth with 4. Nah, it doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, let's leave that on 3. I'm trying to figure out some other interesting things I can move. Let's look at the... So of course we have this moving. What we could even do is lower the range of this motion. So it's like that. We could use a multi-filter where it's a low pass plus something else. Let's use a low notch. Yeah, and now we get another notch that we can work with. So let's use LFO4 to modulate the frequency of that notch. And then, depending on where this cutoff is, by use of... I might assign flanger filter, actually. I'm going to assign this mod to flange, to macro 4. Which it seems like... Okay, no. So that's going to assign to macro 4 and give us both the flanger filter and the flanger itself on that. And then this is going to assign to the... this is going to... Let's see, what could this assign to? the mix of the the cutoff of this filter, because we want to be able to change where the low pass is, right? So we'll call this then LPF. So then when I turn this up, you start to get more and more of the sound. But you still get a small range of motion with LFO3. I'm going to increase the range of motion here. I'll lower the res. And then the frequency, I'm actually going to lower it to 1/4. See if we can get some interesting counter motion going on here. If you can get them moving over each other, that usually results in some nice effects. Let's introduce a noise, actually. Oh. I've got several that I could choose from. I'm gonna choose from the stock though. I'll choose organics. Paper bag. Ooh, that is quite nice. What if we modulated its level with the LFO3? And that's just going through the effects as everything else is. We're going to modulate the phase of that with LFO4. Yeah. That's nice. And then we could even modulate the wavetable position of oscillator B with LFO4, so we get a different effect on the FM when that's up. And I'm going to also take the LFO, or take frequency 2, and then move that down. Ooh. I'm gonna have this also lower the level of the noise a bit. Alright, I'm just going to play out the clip and see what happens. Cool. Let's vary the LFO speed as well. So LFO3 rate, I also have to configure LFO4 rate. So I can control both of those, and I'm just going to use the push to do it. In fact, I might even create another version of this where I do another round of automation that's... Oh. Option drag, please. And I don't want any of this. Goodbye. Now, what I'm going to do is move LFO4 rate to its own column. Move that here and here, and we're going to mess around with some stuff. Not recording anything at the moment, just going to mess around. Actually, I'm going to move it to the non-automated version so we have a steady sort of thing to work with. This could also be the start of a nice bass line, you know? I'm thinking using the topper, not the topper, transient kit as like what happens in the downbeats. So it'll be like, boom, 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 boom. Hey, we have a viewer. Hello. How you doing? Let me explain what's going on. Alright. So, we are creating a drop today, and we're doing it for the trap project we have been doing. Sound trap, but we've taken it over to Ableton. We've done a couple introductory things like getting the beat in place. And in fact, we've mostly just gotten the beat over right now. So we have this beat. We have several other parts laid out in our session view as well, such as the MIDI that made up the chords that we're using for our song. So over here in harmony, we have the pad sounds. So if I just were to solo this whole group and we were to play this out. Have a nice little pad loop going on there, but I've just omitted that for now because we're focusing on getting the sounds there, and we'll worry about the chords and all that later. We want to worry about the drop today. I want to focus on that today. So what I have here is a serum patch where it's soloed, or it's turned off. So whoa, yeah. Where I've done some sort of where I've done some crazy automation, or where I made some nice sound effects, and I've recorded those. I've recorded all this crazy automation out onto audio clips with the resampling track in Ableton. So I set this up so that anything you hear in Ableton when it's being played is recorded to this track. So I made some random stuff happen here, recorded it out, and then I sliced that audio into a drum rack. Now I have a kit full of bass slices, but I have put that through its own chain of effects and added some macros like LFOs. But I basically took little slices of bass, separated them out into their own clips, and then I can do something like, or I can just alternate between them on the fly. But I was thinking of using these clips in conjunction with this this more wobbly LFO repeating bass that I'm making now. But I'm going to sort of do the same thing where I split it up, because I'm going to do like all sorts of automation so I can get different sounds and then switch between them quickly on the fly and just try a whole bunch of different drops out, and then also in the process create a bunch of bass sounds that I could later use in a different project, because I'm creating like a drum rack of them, and I can just save that drum rack as a preset and then pull it up like Serum Bass Sounds Kit 1, right? I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but you get the idea. So we're working on this now, and what do we have here? So I play it from this point. We have a patch that I have made that I've been working on, pre-string, or where I've been messing around with these macros, getting them to do different things to the patch. This will control the amount of FM on the first oscillator from second oscillator. We have LFO3 and LFO4 controlling a lot. This controls 9 things, this controls 6 things, and they have different rates, so it creates this sort of counter motion going on. So I've got one thing going at half speed. Currently there's not a lot that's happening with this macro, so I'm tempted to go around or what I'm doing is I'm going around and adding this LFO to things that were added to LFO3, and like for example, phase and depth of this, I'm going to use LFO4 for the depth of the flanger now. So let's get rid of that. LFO4 can go there. I'm going to pull that back, start it up. Yeah, and that's in the mix of that is controlled by. So there's a couple, bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, but this is just so that I can automate them later on, and I'll show you the way that I'm doing it, because I'm just automation's going to sort of just appear. I'm using I'm using a push, and I'm going to turn these knobs, and then we will get automation being written out of the channels. And I have it all written out here that I can just change the rates of these two LFOs and the macros. So we're going to just mess with them really quick here and see what we can do. Yeah, so LFO 4 needs to do more to the sound. Let's mess with the macro. We actually just used LFO rates. Let's see what the macros do. So this is FM. Let's create a different LFO shape, maybe. So for this one, I'm going to tighten it a little bit, and this one I'll bring out some more. Yeah, I like where that is. Okay, so LFO4 can control. Let's control the frequency of this notch. I'm gonna make it control the wavetable position of A. I'm gonna make LFO4. Yep, that's controlling B. Good. Okay. Ooh. See. Nice. Okay, that ought to do. Alright, let's record some automation. I'm just gonna overwrite this too and do an 8-bar loop, because I'm gonna do some different stuff. Let's just overwrite all of this. We don't need any of that to start with. We will just do it ourselves. Well, let's also make sure that this is muted. And what I'm going to do is just go through and record each parameter one by one. So I'll start with the LFO3 rate. LFO4 is automated somewhere. Oh, at the beginning. Okay, good. So I'm going to start at the bottom here. Move the main LFO. Move the main LFO rate. Then go through and do the other one. Let's have that. Okay, so then to get what I just recorded, oops. Oh, that was not, okay, well, that would have helped if I was in record ready. Interesting. Yeah, so what I'm going to need to do here is press record before we do it. I was just experimenting with things we could do. All right, record this time. Why did the tempo change? I did not change the tempo. Okay, it's also overwriting, so I have to make sure that this plus is enabled so that it does not overwrite with a new clip. Also, is that resampling track record ready? No, it is not. Good. Nothing else is. Good. Okay, let's do this. Okay, that's cool. So I'll keep that. And then let's mess with the macros some. So this is the filter. I think we'll just do this one first because this is the most impactful. I kind of want it to have more of an impact. Let's increase the LFO's range here. I also want it to have an impact on the resonance when I move that knob up. The drive can remain the same. Frequency, this is also moving the frequency of this up a bit. I want it to move it, perhaps, yeah. So we'll start there. Okay, move it less. When it's all the way up, what does it sound like? Maybe we don't want to turn the resonance up. Alright, cool. Alright, let's actually record. I think I got an idea of what I want to do here. Alrighty, let's try that. Alright, so I'll bring these in at like the end of phrases. I'm going to go through all of these and simplify their envelopes. Let's do stepwise motion somewhere in here. Because the filter didn't get saved. So I'm just going to draw something in real quick. Real quick. Let's zoom out so we get some more coarse controls here. I'm going to do a step up at the end. I'm going to do a little curve here. I don't know. I'm just throwing in some random stuff. Okay. That should sound cool. Let's remove some points maybe. So here that can go, that can go, that can go. Okay, and then last thing we're going to do is we're going to move that, we're going to record that into our resampling track. But while that's happening, we're going to also be moving the LFO shape itself around, because that's not technically something you can record in automatically. I want to do something like this, where I move the peak of the LFO around so it kind of wobbles in different different timings in the beat. But in order to achieve that, I would need to make different versions. Or I could do this. I could resample, and then while that's happening, while this other all this other automation is going on, I can move things around, like the LFO, the points in the LFO. I can change the detune of things. I can move other stuff around that wasn't there before. Okay, so then on that note, let's do that. So our resampling track is record enabled as of now. Very good. And now all we need to do is let's just go ahead and just mess with the idea. Something like that, right? Things just go all over the place. Okay, let's try that. So we just have to record. And let's take that much. And now that we have all that crazy stuff, we can take that into our Wubs kit. So we have a drum rack ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the transient kit and I'm going to duplicate it. Reason being is because I have a whole bunch of effects that I had lined up in this kit. And I'd like to make a similar thing happen with this drum kit. Of course, all of these audio clips are going to be replaced with the new samples we have, so I can just go through and delete all the clips that are on here. This is a duplicate, so don't worry. There's also still more work to do on this kit itself, because here I have another line of samples that I haven't split up yet, so that might be interesting to show. Okay, and here we are, audio 7. Let's grab that and move it down to here so I can more easily drag the audio onto the kit. So it's there now. Web's kit selected, audio 7. There we go. So that should be going to auto filter, and that should be the case with every single one. Yeah, so that, and now every duplicate I make will be also in a choke group. I want it to be in choke group 1 so they cut each other off. And then what we can do is we can, of course, play this note and it will play through the whole sample. Or I can make a chop of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the region in which the sample plays back in our sampler here. Because so what I've done is basically imported the sample into the drum rack, and here it is. And in that drum rack is a sampler instrument, and that includes its own pitch envelope, all sorts of things you could do with the sample here, like a filter. You can even include a filter, fade in and fade out, which we might need on some of these clips. But we can program all of that up here. So if we go ahead and just take the beginning and the end of the clip and adjust them, we'll go ahead and play through it as well. Oops. Okay, I realized something. I realized that it also recorded the beat. So I need to, yeah, re-record that. Yeah, that's an issue. Okay, let's get rid of that one. Yeah, try that again. We'll try that again. So let's go back here. I would like to record this, but without this going on in the background. So it's just our bass. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, we got it. We got it. Let's do that again. First thing I'm going to do with this sample is I'm going to set it up so that, yep, it's all going to the right place. This needs to go to the filter first, and this sample needs to be normalized. Normalized volume. So it's the same volume as I recorded it. And then, by the way, when I pressed that key, it was going to go ahead and play the whole sample. So the way I reset that is I pressed start and stop on the DAW, and that stopped the playback. So if that happens to you, just do that. Okay, let's find some nice. Oh, excuse me. Let's find some nice sounds within this mess, because quite frankly, that's what it is, and that's what it starts out as. But it's fine. We will refine it here. We're gonna make 8 slices of it. I think we could get away with that, and then we'll create a different timbre of it, and we will try again. We'll get another 8 slices. So, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it so that the display is nice and big here, and that you can see it. But I'm going to actually be controlling where these start and stops are using the push. So if you notice here, okay, if I can get the camera around to a good angle, probably not, but you might notice that the sample itself, the sampler is visible also on my push screen here. So that is how I'm going to be slicing up the sample. But you'll be able to see that on screen as well. So, unfortunately, you can't see the zooming. That doesn't sync up, unfortunately. But you can see the start and stop. I'll go ahead and zoom in so that it's clear. So I want that. For this, I might need a fade out. That might not be so good because it starts from silence. So if I'm gonna do it, I'll do it from the very first. Okay, what about this? Ooh. So you get some weird sort of like things you would never think of design, like sounds you would never think of making when you like move between parameters really fast. Like this, for example, this little piece right here. If you're hearing that just in isolation, you might be like, well, you might be like, whoa, how was that sound made? And yeah, that's what you want to go for when you're designing cool like bass sounds or synths. Is you want to go for lots of changing parameters and obscurity. Well, I would say, I mean, that's kind of what I'm going for. It's like some obscure, but also like really glitch like, but also yeah, I don't really know at this point. I'm just picking out cool sounds, you know, just picking out cool sounding stuff that I could visualize being part of a bass line as like an interim sound effect between like more heavy notes that are played, like bow 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 bow, like you know what I mean. So that's like kind of a cool, just passing by thing. I might even just take this ending bit. Yeah, I want to take the first bit too. Alright, let's find something else like that. Okay, I like the ending better than the... I Alright, that's cool. I like this one. I'll try to shape it so that there's a fade out. I can zoom in on what I'm doing. I'm making it so that it's playable and repetitive, repeatable. So let's make a fade in as well. Maybe start it a little bit sooner. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's nice. Alright, next slice. Definitely that. There we go. Next one. Right there. Right there. Oh, we have another viewer. Hello, hello. I am making bass sounds. I'll spare the second explanation. I'm making bass sounds. Okay, brief explanation of what I'm doing so that the new guy's not entirely lost. Making bass sounds in Serum. I am making a whole bunch of automation on those bass sounds, like using some macros here on the left. So I'm automating a lot of parameters to create a lot of motion in the patch, and I played out a basic MIDI pattern on one note, recorded it onto an audio track using resampling. I've also worked on another patch here. I'm working on currently a drum rack from another patch. I've done some automation here using the push. I've created some basic kind of curves, or not really basic. I guess you can call this basic, but I played the push a little bit, and then recorded it onto an audio track using resampling. This also allowed me to do things that you couldn't normally do with Serum in automation, like move the LFO shape around. Like, I was able to just kind of take this point, move it around, and record that motion onto the audio track. Normally you couldn't automate moving this point, but I was able to do it with the resampling. And then I take that, put it onto a drum rack. I drag the sample into a drum rack, and I'm taking different slices of that mess, picking ones that are particularly interesting. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to use those pieces to create a coherent drop, because we're going to just have a whole bunch of things that we can kind of alternate between, and we can just mess with certain patterns. It'll be cool. But we'll get there. I've got a lot of material. So let's just go through what we got here. I'll just play the clip in its entirety, right? I'll just kind of show you what kind of craziness is going on. That's soloed good. Yeah, kind of wild, kind of crazy. No real direction to it. Not very musical, but this is part of the process. This is part of my process. That anyway, I just make a random noise, just make whatever kind of sounds just come to mind, just move knobs around, assign them to filters, and make a sound. I could do days more that are more on. I'm just doing it on this particular process of exporting stuff, because I think it makes doing this whole sound design process in Serum a lot more simpler and a lot more, I guess, less time consuming on your end, because you don't have to fuss about on making the envelopes be exactly the shape you want them to be, and making the LFOs kind of follow an exact pattern and stuff. You can get a lot of crazy kind of variation in sound and a quick patch by just playing out a sound and just recording that sound as you go, as sort of like snapshots, and then taking those interesting pieces and putting them together later like a puzzle. And yeah, like also in the sound design process, you might be making a bass sound, and you'll get to a point where you have something that you really really like. So rather than adjust things further and go further into that process, you can just go ahead and record it onto a resampling track using this technique, and just have that material ready to go to slice up later on. So this is just one version, and then I can go in to that same patch and to create coherency between the different bass sounds. I can just go to the same patch, change a couple things, make this make another cut, make another sliced version of it, and you just have different sounds to work with, but they're still under kind of the same umbrella. This under that in that same vein, this serum patch was made using a variation of this transient bass patch. This also has its own kit associated with it that I did another stream, so I can play through that briefly in a moment, but I'm working on this one right now. So let's continue doing that, shall we? Let's find some interesting slices of this. Okay, so it needs to be soloed. This is currently soloed, so let's go ahead and... So what I've got so far. So that's what I've got so far. And then let's find another slice then. So the way I'm doing this, the way I'm moving this around, is I'm using the knobs on my push to do it. So I'll kind of show you here if I can get the camera angle right. I'm kind of holding it. It's a little difficult. So I'm moving finding a nice slice here. So something about there, and then I'm just gonna, refine it as so you get the idea of how I'm moving this around. I'm gonna also try to zoom in on the screen here so that you can get a clearer picture of what exact part of the sample I'm getting. Nice. Okay, I'll take that little slice. And then what I'm going to do is Option, drag that to a new clip, and then we can just start from there, adjust it a little bit, and get a different slice. That's a nice slice. That's a nice slice. Oh. Okay, I'll take that much. And then what happened next? There's something crazy. Cool. Oops, I just moved it. How I'm copying these is I'm holding down Option or Alt on Windows and dragging that into a new clip. So I just created a copy of the whole audio clip, but I'm just taking I'm just playing it and ending it at a certain point. Not that that warrants an explanation, but just trying to keep it educational. Okay, we don't want that whole thing. Maybe just a small slice of that. What about the ending? No. That could be cool. It's like a siren or something. Maybe if I ended a little bit sooner. The other cool thing about the drum rack is whenever you play a clip and play another clip on top, or soon after, it'll cut off, as long as it's part of the same choke group here. Whenever you play a note, it'll cut off the previous one. So it saves you a lot of time from doing that manually if you're like cutting and pasting audio. If you're doing something like this in Soundtrap, it would take you way longer because you'd have to get a bass sample in somehow, and then you'd have to slice the audio at a particular point, move the clip into place in the timeline, and then just do that with every single little slice. But this way, I've got a kit ready of different sounds that I could just try on the fly. Okay. So what do we have so far? These two are very similar. I also got a filter I could put on everything. Might be a nice one. Yeah, you see, you might just find two that are really good. Another thing you could do with these samples is, because each one contains a sampler, you could do, you could add some of the features of the sampler, and I'm going to modulate the pitch of this one a little bit each time so that when I repeat, it's a random pitch. So that'll be done here. I want to turn on the LFO, and then I want to adjust the pitch of the sample. See? But I want it to be very slow. Very slow. Ooh, or it could be fast. Ooh. How about something... It's gotta be continuous as well, so retrigger off. Yeah, so now let me make it faster. Okay, we can add the beat back now that we have recorded out what we needed to record. And we can also mute the track here. Oops, wait a minute. It's this one. We need to mute the patch, because now we're just messing with the drum rack. Oops. I was on the wrong. I just gotta figure out like a rhythm out. I'm gonna make this one have the pitch variation too. You get the idea. You get the idea. I've yet to come up with something that's finalized. I'd rather show you guys the process of creating a setup like this rather than spend time kind of just playing around with it. That's kind of a waste of time for y'all. But when we come back, obviously the stream is far from over. But like I will do that part off camera so that you don't have to see that. And we'll come back with a more developed thing. So perhaps we can give ourselves more options then. We can always just keep on slicing, but I'm going to move on to a different idea here. So I'm going to, trap a lot of the time includes like a brass section, or particularly like a trumpet or horn stab of some sort. So I'm going to look for something like that in my my sample libraries. And we will move that to melody, because that is going to be constituting a melody for us. Let's go ahead and we'll just use the contact clip that is here. There's nothing on it. Good. And let's look for a brass instrument inside here. Session horns. Let's do performance. See how these perform. Pop. Higher. Oh, that's all stuff for the anime. Okay. Sound. What other options do we have here? Power brass? Oh, why is that like on the right? Okay, I could do. Let's bring up our chord, a part of our chord progression, so we know what to play in. Okay, I've got an idea. For it. Where was it? I lost it already. So here. First of all, this has to be. Rehearse. That'll be. Let's just do that for now. 2, 3, 4. So that could be like a melody that happens before the drop. I'm going to move that into a clip. We're not going to delete it quite yet, but I'm not going to use that here. I'm thinking more as like a... So more sparse. So yeah, something like that. 2, 3, 4. Maybe I'll do an extended horn there. Extended horn phrase. 2, 3, 4. Just imagine a bass line going on in the background. Something like that. So like yeah. So it'll like the bass will fill in like the middle of the measure. So it'll be at the beginning there'll be like a trumpet stab, and this might be combined with some other horn samples because I want something that's a little bit more aggressive and like you know, as this is just like light like trumpets, but I want this to be like an aggressive like trap horns sort of deal. So that's going to require some stacking and using a couple more samples that aren't here yet but will be. But we can get an idea of the melody and where the notes will be. So as soon as I can find the instrument again, I'm just going to close down these groups because there's a lot of scrolling. Okay, these drums can get closed down. Also, it would be helpful to, or at least for me, to color things as they should be, or at least as I color them. So melody can be green, harmony can be, I don't know, that color green. Okay, that can happen later. And then backgrounds can be blue. That color blue. Oh, this could be yellow, right? That's the color for that. Okay, so then we can do that, and then we can do this, then this, then that, and okay, now I can actually tell where I am. I already moved that clip into the session view, so. speed also isn't final. It's gonna get some work, but not today. Okay, that should do it. That should do it. That should do it. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Boom, boom. Have to move them up. And then quantize everything, so move it onto the grid. But to do that, I just did Apple U or Control U on PC. And that will align the notes to the grid. And let's go ahead and stay true to the word, to my word, and let's find some other horn samples. I'm gonna find some in my sound library because I have some tailored sort of like sounds here. So let's look in here for perhaps contemporary trap. This one might have some good sounds. This one might have some good sounds here. Let's see. I'm looking for horns particularly. Nope. Nope. Power. Let's look in here. Let's look in here. Let's see. Nope. Okay, you know what? I'll just search horns. I'll just search. In the entire library, it's going to take a while. I have a lot of files to look through. Oh, never mind. Let's see here. Tisoki? Synth? Nah. I mean, well, actually, that might make up a good lower portion. A good lower portion. Okay, let's take that. No use in, or it might as well, might as well try it. Now, since that clip was, the problem is though, since that clip was on the note F, samplers assume that when you drag a note into them, or when you drag a sample into them, it's tuned to C. So we're going to need to transpose the clip so that it is the note that I'm playing on the keyboard. And that's just going to involve going to our controls and going to transpose. So going to controls, transpose, and then move it up until it's an E. And then what I'm going to do is just take the clip and move it down here. And we're going to take only the lower half. Okay, one thing I'm going to do with this sampler is make sure that every time the note is played, it plays the entire length of the sample. So what I'm going to have to do is adjust the amplitude envelope. Because right now, whenever the MIDI note cuts off, the sample itself also cuts off. So we're getting the guys, bip, bip. We don't want that. We want the whole sample to play each time. Boom, boom. No matter how long the note is. So let's just, to do that, let's just increase the release to not 50 milliseconds, but something better than that. So maybe like 2 seconds or so. And now every time, the whole sample is going to play. I'm also going to adjust the start point of the sample because it kind of takes a while for it to, it takes a while for it to get to the actual horn sound. So it just sounds like it's coming after the trumpets. It's just by a little bit. So I'm actually going to just take the beginning and just slide that forward a little bit. I might even warp it, and I'm going to try making it twice as long. Okay, that's twice as short. Oh, yeah, actually kind of nice. Those last two notes are going to be, well, Boom, boom, boom. I might even create another version that's even more sparse than this. I'll make this happen on an offbeat as well. Yeah, I'm going to create another version that's less melodic. Boom. So it'll just be one note instead of two. Boom. This is because I'd like to create this horn stab is going to be a little bit longer than how it is now. So I'd like it to for the notes to have more space. So I'm making the melody more sparse. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Let's make it an F sharp. Okay, so now it's just a little simpler. This will give us more room in the arrangement for bass rather than horn dabs, because that's really what the main feature is. And I'm going to make similar changes. I'll just drag this down and remove the top layer again. There we go. Let's move these back a bit more. I don't like how they were that off the beat. I think they should be right here. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, bum, 3, bum, bum, 2, 3. How about there? Further back. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, bum, bum, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Bum, bum. I don't want it to happen that early. Let's have it happen here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum. We'll start from here. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and I want it to happen there. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. Boom. This will happen here. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3. 2, 3, and 4. Boom. There. Should happen there. That was where it was. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 2, 3, and 4. And 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Let's look for another sound. International One Shots. That sounds like it could have something good in there. Well, no. Okay, well, that's useful in certain situations, but not in this one. And that's definitely not a horn. That was indeed someone screaming. All right. Well, I know I have that one now. That actually could no. Nah, I'm just gonna leave that one alone. How about in here? Nope. Well, some of these sample packs just kind of give you exactly what you need, but it would almost feel like cheating if I use this one, because that's just too good. But I mean, it's not that hard to make either. I could throw some distortion on this this horn here, and then throw on a bass sound. But I mean, it's right there. I could use it. Let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, that yeah. Okay. I know that's cursed orchestra. Interesting. What effects? Is there any in here? Dubstep loop pack. Okay, that's just a beat. That's not horns. That's not nearly what I was looking for, and that's not gonna help either. Okay, I think I'll just go with I'll go with this one, but I'm going to filter out a lot of that bass because I don't want it to. I'm gonna have a sub patch, and I don't want it to interfere. Or I could just use it. I mean, heck. Let's throw in an EQ afterwards. Because I want to get rid of all of that low stuff. So we just end up with that upper horn. I'm even going to throw this through a bit of, first of all, compression. Can I also increase the release of that horn? I want it to be a longer note. Control, velocity, pitch wheel normal. It's not looking like we have the ability to adjust the release of this. Well. Well, that's pretty nice. The marcato is pretty nice. That's just like a bah, yeah. But still, maybe not every single time. Let's try a shake. That could be nice for like a at the transition. I could use this shake. Something like that. But I'll stick with let's use the marcato, but let's make sure that the lengths of all the notes are similar. Because right now we're kind of having some of them that are long and some that aren't. So I'd like to adjust them all to, yeah, down to like really short so that they're all the same length now. Bam. Oh, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter on the length. Now what if I were to... Alright, I'll get rid of the beat. Just for now. I'm just working on the horns. I'm going to solo both of these. I got an idea. What if I do the first section? It's shorter notes. And then the second section, we have longer notes because I know that this certain articulation is one that crescendos after it goes. Yeah, see? So I'm gonna extend some of them out, not all of them. Oh, it doesn't. I see. I see. So I'll do a rhythm like this then. One and two and boom boom. Okay. And then this can also be there, so it mirrors the rhythm. Bones, T for bound, for 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1. Boom. Let's make it happen on 2. Same thing here. 3 and 4. Let's make this one super short. That's not truly where it happens. 2, 3, 4. Let's make that happen on beat 4 then, because it sounded better there. I'll try something else for this then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that there instead. So 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's better. This one will be short too. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Yeah, let's make it just the trumpet at the end. 2, 3, 2, 3. So for this whole section, it's gonna be just staccato. Then we're gonna have second section where we have some horn swells. And repeats. So let's combine it with some pad sounds to see if it fits well. Well, I first of all have to do this and this. I might have to change the notes around. I think I may have done it a little wrong. I messed that up. I need to do this and then this. Bum, bum, bum. It needs to be reverse of what I did. Bum, 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 bum. Instead of. Same for the second clip. 3, 4, boom, 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 boom. do it. Let's do ba, ba, try this so far. This has to be a D sharp, or D flat, I mean. Be cool if I brought this up here. No, it wouldn't. Ooh, that's loud. Excuse that. Well, it's totally not going to be the final arrangement, but okay. Chords are right. Follows the right pattern. Now we can work on the bass line. It's gonna be a two-step process and it's getting near the time to finish, which is fine because I said I would do the actual recording of the bass line off camera because I'm not entirely sure on the idea. I'm not entirely sure on the exact line I'm going to use in which samples because there's a lot that I want to sift through, and so what I'll do is come up with a version of a bass line that I like. It will all be on one note, and then the next stream we will take that recorded bass line using the kit. I will export that out again to another sample, and then I'll use that sample, or I will slice up that sample and change the notes on it so that we get a variation of notes. So we're just starting out by working in only F, and then we will slice them up and then use the transposition features in Ableton and the warping features in Ableton to change the pitch of the notes after the fact. And that by doing it that way, it will change the sound differently than if you were to just play a different note in the sampler instrument. So we might be able to adjust how our note transposes up and down, and we can use the different warping algorithms to do it. And I'll show you a little example of what I mean. So, like, for example, if I wanted to take a slice of this here, so I would just basically slice it up like this. Take this region. This region would be a note, right? So that I could just go here, transpose it a certain way, and depending on what algorithm I choose here, it will transpose it with a different sound. I'll show you. Okay. So if I had it on beats and I transposed, okay. Don't want to transpose the wrong clip. Let me just loop this one. If I change it to complex. You see, you get a different sound depending on what algorithm you choose, and then you get different parameters too that you can also mess with. Like that's a totally different sound, and there's no way you could have gotten that by just playing it up an octave in Serum. Like this is its own sort of a suite of effects in itself. And there's another type of sampler out there called granular, which is even more in depth, and you could take your sound and just completely destroy it and completely transform it into something else. You can also get into a contact instrument called, or actually not contact, it's a reactor instrument called Form, which does a similar thing to your samples, which just mangles them and uses the granular engine. And yeah, so we could do a whole day on granular this week. I think that will be awesome. Of course, we will continue this bass line coming next stream at 11:30 tomorrow. We are going to have a completed bass line, and we will be transposing it. It'll all be on one note. We'll make it transposed so that it follows that horn line that we played in, and we will come up with a good sounding part, with the chords that may fit in. So yeah, come back tomorrow, and we will be doing all that and perhaps more. So see you then, and I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you for those of you who stuck around as long as you did. Thank you for staying, and thank you for those who are watching afterwards. If you made it to this point, yeah, congratulations. You have a lot of time on your hands. But yeah, anyways, that's all for today. So yeah, come back tomorrow, 11:30.